Hey guys! I've decided to film this video because after I came back from LA, so many dancers have asked me information about LA and about the program that I did, the dorms, the cost of living, all of that. So I've decided to film this video and just tell you everything about it so that you're prepared if you want to make this move and go to LA at some point to train. I'm Nefeli, if you don't know me. I've studied law at the University of Reading in the UK, and then right when I finished I decided that I wanted to pursue my passion, and I moved to LA for 6 months to train with the best. Of course, all of this information is going to be helpful to you post the COVID era, because now you can't really do anything. So get ready, because I'm going to tell you everything. Sorry if I'm looking down at some points. It's just because I have my notebook here. I have everything written down so that I don't forget anything. Okay, so let's go. First of all, what program did I do? The certificate program at Millennium Dance Complex. And it's weird how I found it. It was a few days after my last law exam in the UK. I knew I wanted to do something with dance at that point. I just didn't know what exactly. So I was browsing through the Millennium Dance Complex website, and I saw this program and I started reading all about it, and I was like, okay, this is for me. That's what I want to do. You need to send an application, and in that you need to put some headshots, dance photos, a personal statement, a letter of recommendation, and an essay that you need to write. Don't worry, it's not anything too difficult. Now, how long is it? It can be from 2 to 12 months. You choose how many months you want to do it for. I chose to do it for 6 months, and you can find the cost for the number of months on the website. But for the 6 months that I did it, it was $4,900, which is almost 4,000 euros. What this includes is unlimited classes at the studio.
You say you wanna touch it and tease it and squeeze it.
Whipped and chains, handcuffs, smack a little booty up with my belt, scream.
Woman like me, yes, a woman like me. When you see the max, they stack up like my ass, yeah. No more taking it slow. Almost up, it's almost up, almost there. That ship sailed away. Love me, baby, how you doing? Can you let me know? This shit always happened to me. Like,
I wanna see you go off. Give me 2 steps to the left.
One private per month with one of the teachers of Millennium. Also, you can use the rooms, the studios, whenever there isn't a class. So, and you can use it to train, to like choreograph something yourself, whatever you want. I know some people will find this really expensive. There is an alternative to this. You can just buy class packages at different studios. Like there's a 20 class package at Millennium, and other studios have like 10 class packages or 20 class packages, and you can just buy like, you know, 3 packages for the whole month and do that instead. The reason I chose to do the certificate program is because it was like a fully structured thing, and you also get a certificate afterwards. Not that it means a lot, like it's mostly the experience and the training you get out of it that counts, but I just wanted it to be a fully structured thing so that I could be more disciplined. But you have your freedom, you can choose whichever classes you want. They don't make you take specific classes, they just advise you on which classes to take, and then you make the selections. Okay, now let's talk about the visa. By the way, I'm from Cyprus, so I applied for a tourist visa at the US Embassy in Nicosia, and actually, fun fact, the first time it got rejected because they needed more information from me. For example, that I could pay the program's fees, and that I was gonna come back after 6 months and not stay there because they don't want you to stay there. But after I provided them with this information, they accepted my application and I got my tourist visa, which is valid for 10 years, but you cannot stay in the United States for longer than 6 months consecutively. Also, this is very important. You cannot apply for a student visa, because that's what the people at the embassy were telling me, that I should have applied for a student visa, but I couldn't, because you need a specific document, and Millennium Dance Complex cannot give you that document because it's not a university, it's just a private dance studio. In Greece you need to get an ESTA, and although it's valid for 2 years, you can only go to the US for 3 months consecutively. So it's a bit different. Just do your research on it, because I'm not an expert on the ESTA thing. I just know about the visa that I got from Cyprus, for sure. Dorms. So for the 6 months that I was there, I stayed at 2 different dorms. The first one was Millennium Dance Dorms, or LA Dance Dorms. I stayed for 3 months, and I chose to live there because it was only a 20-minute walk from Millennium, and it was the easy choice. But they accommodate only dancers who are doing the certificate program, and also only girls. I don't know why. When I booked it, the cost was $875, which is around 713 euros. I checked today, and now it's $895 per month. And then for my last 3 months, I moved to Home for Dancers. So at Home for Dancers, it was mixed, both girls and boys, and also it could be any dancer in LA, not just a dancer doing a specific program or anything like that. The structure was more like a house. It was the dining room, and then the kitchen, the living room. There was also a small studio in the house where you could practice. And then when you went upstairs, it was the bedrooms. There were 3 bedrooms, 2 of them fit 4 people, and then 1 of them fit 6 people, and 2 bathrooms. Yeah, it was really pretty there. But you needed to do a cleaning task 2 days per week. So for me, I had to clean the bathroom surfaces. I needed to do it on Wednesdays and Sundays, once in the morning and once in the evening. And if you don't do it, you get fined. But believe me, it's really good that this rule exists, because the house is always clean, everyone does their tasks, and the cost was $640 per month, which is around 520 euros. So it was cheaper than the first dorms. But I should note that it was a low season, because it was January to March. I think during the summer is like $750. So only $100 more. It's a high season. So Millennium and the Millennium dorms are in Studio City. That's what the neighborhood is called. And then Home for Dancers is in North Hollywood, which is a different neighborhood, but you can use an Uber to go to the studio. Ubers are very cheap, but I'm gonna talk about this in a little bit. There's also NoHo House that you can check out. It's also in North Hollywood. Last thing about the dorms is that electricity and water are included in the price you pay. You don't pay anything extra. Okay, I think this is the issue that is burning most of you guys, and it's cost of living. Let me start by talking about my flights. So I booked my flight from Cyprus to LA, and I had a stop in London. So for my flight to go to LA, it was £355. And then my flight to come back was £406. Now for transport, I mostly used Ubers because in the US they're fairly cheap. I never found a way to use the buses. Not that I've searched into it a lot, and the subway doesn't have too many stops, so you might get out somewhere and need to walk a lot more to get where you want to go. So I mostly used Ubers, and also if you use them with your friends, you each pay very little. Now food shopping. Because your space in the kitchen is very limited, you need to go food shopping once a week, because you don't have more space to put more stuff in. I usually went to Ralph's because it was really close to where I lived, and I spent $50 to $80 per week. I also got a phone number for which I paid $40 per month, and I had 10 GB of 4G. I also had some extra dancing costs because I chose to do some classes at other studios as well. I didn't want to just do the Millennium classes, I wanted to try the other studios as well. I did Bring Nicole's Industry Intensive.
Some days things just take way too much of my energy.
And I also bought an iPhone because it was much cheaper there. You also need to think about the sightseeing you're gonna be doing, because I went everywhere. I was like, I'm in LA for 6 months, I'm gonna see everything. Some of the places you go are free, but there are some museums that have an entrance fee, or like if you go to Universal Studios, for example, there is a ticket price. You also need to think about your shopping, how much shopping you're gonna choose to do. Now let's see the costs all together. We've got the certificate program, visa, dorms, flights. And lastly, my monthly expenses. I'm excluding Bryn's Industry Intensive and my new iPhone, because these might be expenses you wouldn't make. I calculated all my expenses and it comes down to $6,000 for the whole period that I was there, which means $1,000 per month. And this is around 815 euros. Don't get me wrong, these are the expenses that I chose to make. Maybe someone else would have less monthly expenses or more if they did more shopping than me, or visited like a different city. This is an estimate of my expenses. I think it was exactly what I should do while I was in LA. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me any questions that you wanted about LA, and I think I answered a lot in this video. I wanted to structure this video so that it's not confusing. My tips and advice for anyone who's thinking of going to LA to train in the future is, first of all, do your research. I looked up everything in advance. The program, the dorms, the walking distances, where all the attractions were, the prices, the mentors that I'm gonna choose, the classes I wanted to take. Secondly, and this kind of goes together with the first one, be prepared and book everything in advance. Like, I booked the program in advance, the dorms in advance. Make sure you get your visa sorted, your flights sorted, so that there aren't any unpleasant surprises and everything goes well. You know, being prepared is half the victory, so. And lastly, be ready and willing to work hard in order to see results. You can't just go to LA and do like 3 classes per week or 5 classes per week. You need to blast your off if you want to see results. I went to 16 to 18 classes per week. I worked hard, believe me. But in the end, you're gonna come out a much more improved and versatile dancer. I think that's all I wanted to say for this video. If there's anything more that you want to know, like which classes to take and how to choose, or where to go eat, or what attractions to go see, or about auditions and networking. I also went to the World of Dance 3 times, and to the final of The Voice, and to the Ellen show in the audience, I mean, of course. And to James Corden. I went to the Universal Studios. So if you want a story time about any of these things, or about how I met Jojo Gomez, who's one of my favorites, and some other amazing choreographers, let me know. Thank you for watching this video. Carlos was actually very patient with me filming this. I don't want to be one of those people, but if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see my next Q&A video about LA, then subscribe. Hasta. Okay, bye.